G'day there guys, makes way more excuses than money here, back at it again with another episode of r/AmiTheA. Now if you loved today's video, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and enjoy this bloody good content. Posted by user Severe Standard 2379, titled, Am I the a-hole for my public freakout? I'm sick of people assuming I don't speak Polish because I'm Asian. Apologies for my crap English. My dad is Mongolian, my mum is Polish. I never met my father as he died before I was born. I look entirely Mongolian, though I'm basically Polish as I grew up in Poland my entire life and I know nothing about Mongolia. My whole life, people assumed I don't know Polish and would speak to me in English, and it's fudging annoying as hell. Half the time, I couldn't even understand the English. I was at a restaurant yesterday, and my waiter comes up to me and asks me in English, "Hello, sir, can I take your order?" And I respond in Polish, "Yes, I'd like this and this and this." And he asks me again in crappy English, "Would you like diet or regular Coke and fries or sroka?" And again I said, "Listen dude, I speak Polish." And he kept speaking English, to which I said in Polish, "A-hole, I've lived here my whole life. I speak Polish better than I speak English. Polish is my native language, and stop assuming otherwise and take my fudging order in Polish because we live in Poland." He looked shocked, went quiet, and then took my order. My girlfriend was fudging ticked and said I should have just done it in English, but screw this crap, I've had enough of this my whole life, and especially since I told him to speak to me in Polish and he kept going in English. Edit, stop assuming and asking if he didn't speak Polish. He was Polish, and I heard him speak perfect Polish before and after. Also, you can't get a job working in customer service here unless you speak Polish. I think that's kind of obvious. Yes, sometimes we have Ukrainians who don't speak Polish very well, but it's good enough to get the job done. I don't think you're an a-hole for standing your ground on this one. If it's a requirement that you have to be able to speak Polish, and he goes against your wishes when you ask twice for him to speak Polish, I think you're justified in getting angry with him because he continues to speak in English when you don't understand. That's perfectly reasonable, and I don't think you're the a-hole in this situation. I just think it's rude to flip out at service people, but I understand why you did. Not the a-hole, but I have to ask, how did your meal taste with all that spit in it? So, I know that you're joking, I think, but it is so frustrating how people make the assumption that servers mess with food. I have worked in the restaurant industry for over 10 years, from casual to fine dining. In that time, I only met one server who would spit in food. It just sucks, because people will come in and be afraid to send their meal back when something was wrong with it because they're afraid to offend their server. We just want you to be happy. Even if you are a jerk to us, the majority of us have more integrity than to stoop to that level. So gross. What about the cooks? Those people are animals. Ha! Most of them are great if you make the effort to build a good friendship with them. I will always blame a remake on myself and not the guest. They tend to be more forgiving that way. The comments proposing that the waiter didn't speak Polish are bizarre. There's no way the waiter wasn't a native Polish speaker. At the barest minimum, it would have come out that he was a non-native when he took the order in Polish. Yeah, I don't understand those comments either. They're pretty stupid. You're right, there's a lot of Ukrainians who are waiters and other low-skilled labor, but they often have thick accents. But they easily pick up Polish as the languages are so similar. I've seen some Africans and Middle Easterners doing jobs for Uber Eats and such too, and they spoke at least some Polish, if not fluently. I've heard about Ukrainians and Belarusians. My girlfriend is from Belarus, and she's able to read Polish, though not speak it, since they're so similar. She should be able to understand it too. All Slavs can to an extent understand all Slavic languages. For Poles, the easiest are Czech, Slovak, Kashubian, and Silesian. For Belarusians, the easiest should be Ukrainian and Russian, I believe. Posted by user Utilitarian Spoon, titled, Am I the a-hole for not letting my son buy a computer with the money he saved up on? Hi, I'm new to Reddit and only saw it on a YouTube video, so I thought I would give it a try. My son, 15 last year, asked about getting a gaming computer. My son has the tendency to really want something for about a week, but then drop it after I say he can't have it. He asked about building a computer, and we talked about it. We agreed on a budget of around $1,000, and I told him if he could save up, he could get it. Fast forward a year later, and he did save up $1,000. The only reason I'd even talked about budget was to humor him for a while. He came into me in my husband's room and basically did a presentation on what he was going to buy. I asked him what the cost would be, and he said $1,100. He does have around $1,300 in his account. I shut it down immediately. He's 15 and needs to save for a car. Me and my husband both think that $1,100 is outrageous. He has an Xbox if he wants to play games, and he also has a Chromebook for his schoolwork. He tells me it's not that simple, but $1,100 is crazy. I told him that he could spend $500, and now he won't leave his room because I lied to him and got his hopes up. I just know that $1,100 is way too much. He can get a nice computer for $500. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Yes, you're the a-hole for being ignorant on how much a gaming computer costs these days, and that everyone pays it, and it's an acceptable amount to spend $1,100 on something, if not way more. The fact that you promised him he could buy it if he got $1,000 for it, but not go 10% over, makes you a dick, and you are an a-hole for all of these reasons. OP, accept the judgment. You're the a-hole. Son, if you work hard and save your money, you're allowed to buy a nice $1,000 computer. Just kidding, you're not allowed to at all, ha! Of course you're the a-hole, and he's right, you did lie and get his hopes up. Jumping on this one to add that I have now read through all the replies, and not one person has said anything but you're the a-hole. If you're going to post here, then take the judgment. You have a chance to do right by your son by apologizing to him, admitting that you were absolutely wrong, and acknowledging you did lie to him. Maintain your present course, and he'll feel betrayed forever. OP definitely owes that kid an apology. She should be proud that her son spent a year working towards his goal. That's a big achievement for a 15-year-old. He should be rewarded for his hard work, not treated like this. Also, it shows that if he really wants something, he's willing to work for it. So if he wants a car at some point, he'll save up for that as well. I'm just confused as to why his parents think he needs to be saving up for a car right now. Having your own car as a teenager is one of those luxury things barely anyone does. They don't want him to save for a car. They want another impossible goal for him to never reach. If he saved enough for a cheap used car, they'd have him save for a more expensive one. If he saved for a good used car, they'd want him to save for a new one. The point is that he's too immature to save for stuff, and they know better. You're the a-hole. Reneging on a promise to a teenager after he fulfills his end of the bargain is a betrayal, one that he won't soon forget. He's quite right. You did lie to him and got his hopes up. You're within your rights to question whether he should spend the $1,100 on a computer or save for a car and discuss it with him, but in the end, it's his money. He did everything you told him to do. You're teaching him not to trust you, and I promise you, he won't if you don't reconsider. My parents did this with a dog when I was a kid. If you save X amount of money, do all your chores, prove your responsibility, take care of the existing pets, etc., you can have a dog. Well, guess which fudging sucker did it all and then some? This guy. Guess who wasn't allowed to get a dog? This guy. Clearly, I'm still salty about it 20 plus years later. Posted by user CarrotCake500. Titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to make my brother-in-law a birthday cake? So I, 28 female, enjoy baking immensely. I have accepted the role of baking a cake for any family member's birthday, and typically do a different flavor for each person. I also bake a smaller vanilla cake for anyone who doesn't like the chosen flavor. My new brother-in-law, 47 male, has been to 5 family parties and had 5 different flavored cakes. Each time, he pulls them apart by hand, picks out seemingly random pieces, and eats about half. Yeah, I don't understand either. When people start with the good cake comments, he never says anything and even made a disgusted face after eating one of them. I was admittedly heated after that, but my wife, also 28 female, told me to make it more clear that there was an alternative cake and to focus on the people who did enjoy it. Brother-in-law's birthday is coming up at the end of August, and yesterday I had the following text exchange with my sister, 35 female. Sister says, "Brother-in-law told me to tell you to make him a carrot cake. Birthday's coming up if you forgot." I didn't forget at all. It's a little far out for me to be planning, unless we're celebrating earlier? Nothing early, carrot cake though. We had that at Dad's party, and brother-in-law didn't seem to like it. You sure that's what he wants? Wouldn't have asked if he didn't want it. I think he hates it less than your others. I say thanks. I know he likes strawberries. Maybe I could do a strawberry and cream cake for him. He doesn't have to choose from the ones he's had. Just make the carrot cake. Wife probably won't be invited to the party. I think she's too dykey for him. Note, my wife proudly uses the word dyke, but in a much more positive light. I say I'm only going to go if she does. Fine, I'll pick up the cake that morning then. No cake if it's not a family party. Ugh, don't be a tramp. I stopped responding after that, but I have received several more texts calling me all manner of names, saying I'm breaking up her family, etc. I've also received a few calls from other family members saying I was being unfair by making something I do for the whole family contingent on her doing things my way. I called a few of my friends to ask if I was being unreasonable, and they seemed split between baking the cake for peace or saying that I did the right thing. I normally turn to my wife when I have issues like this, but I don't want to alert her to this if I don't have to, hence the burner account. I feel like I'm in the right by refusing, but I'm not confident. Am I the a-hole? I don't think if you're not feeling like you're invited to this party and your wife isn't invited, that you're the a-hole for refusing to make a cake for them. You know, I would only really make a cake for my family if I was invited to go to the event with them. I get the feeling you're very much left out and your feelings aren't being heard by these guys. They're more just trying to strong-arm you into getting something they want. They aren't looking for a solution that benefits you as well. Therefore, they're just a bunch of a-holes. Like, that's disgusting behavior by them. You're not the a-hole for this. Not the a-hole. I think he hates it less than your others. No, screw all of that. I want to give her the benefit of the doubt and say that was a joke, but with the rest of it... You're missing a trick here, OP. Bake him a cake with a rainbow flag in the center. Don't like dykes? Happy LGBT birthday, motherfricker. Bonus points. Outs himself as the bigot he is when he recoils in horror, having gotten some of your gay in his mouth. Yeah, this is definitely a homophobia issue. Gotta be wary of the gay baking agenda after all. Sarcasm. Not the a-hole. Too dykey? Yikes. Your brother-in-law is an awful person and does not deserve your effort. Your sis is awful for being entitled enabler. Not the a-hole. Keeping peace with ungrateful homophobes is unreasonable and obviously entirely one-sided. I would rock the boat until this tool of a brother-in-law fell off. Honestly, I'm not sure it's entirely my brother-in-law's choice to not invite my wife. My sister was very vocal about her desire to remove me from the family when I came out, but most everyone else was supportive. I feel like he might be giving her the confidence to try and exclude us, but I don't know if that really makes sense. But I think she was a decision maker too. No cakes for your sister either, methinks. Sorry your sister is so callous and does not accept you. I saw an approach in this sub I really liked. Neutral, but cutting honesty. Someone griefs you for not baking, just say, it feels wrong for me to bake for a homophobe that hates me for my sexuality and purposefully excludes my spouse. Posted by user unknownsorry88. Titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my friend he's childish for ordering kids' books? A few weeks ago, my friend ordered the entire series of Magic Treehouse, which he spent $111 on. To preface, he read these books growing up. He owned a few books here and there, but his family could never really afford them. Now that he's 18 and has his own job, he's begun to buy stuff he never could afford. nice clothes, new phone, etc. I walked into his room the other day to grab something for him, and noticed that his shelf now had the whole series of MTH, Magic Treehouse, which wasn't there before. I asked him how he got them and why he had them, and he told me he bought the whole series off of eBay just because he wanted to read them in order and own the series. He loves collecting books. He said they brought about a lot of nostalgia as him and his sister, who don't live with them now, read them growing up. I then told him it was childish, and honestly a little weird that an 18-year-old man would spend over $100 on children's books to read, just because they brought about nostalgia. He got embarrassed and then shrugged it off soon after. He hasn't asked me back over, and he hasn't texted me for a few days now after this comment. So, am I the a-hole for telling him spending over $100 on children's books was childish and immature, especially for an 18-year-old man? Huh, bet you're gonna tell me that my collection of Swedish dildos is childish and immature too, and I spent much more than $100 on those, OP. But for real, does she not realize that she's really hurt his feelings by saying this? That's a massive a-hole thing to do. He gave you a genuinely good reason that he bought the books and why he wants to read them. Just because you think they're kids' books doesn't mean he can't have them. It doesn't make him childish. It makes that something that he wants and it holds dear meaning to him. So yes, what you did makes you the a-hole for this OP, and I don't blame him for cutting you off. You know, he doesn't need that negativity in his life unless, you apologize and make up for it, but it doesn't seem like you will, so you're still the a-hole. You're the a-hole 100% for two reasons. One, as a person who has been an avid reader since childhood, I can tell you now that the books I read growing up had a huge impact on me, and to this day I think of them fondly. There are precious memories attached to old books you read as a child, and it absolutely makes sense that he would want to reread them. Do you have any idea of how many people in their 30s still reread Harry Potter? It is exactly the same thing. 2, it is his money. As long as he isn't doing anything harmful with it, how he spends it is none of your business. Same goes for his free time. It's even worse that you chose to judge him knowing he couldn't afford these books as a child. Absolutely. Clearly you're the a-hole for exactly those reasons. If you want to repair your friendship and be a better human being going forward in life, apologize to your friend and stop being so judgmental of other people. You're the a-hole for what they said, and also because what you did probably had a deeply hurtful effect on your friend, who may be embarrassed in the future about cherishing things he loved and his restorative, repairing childhood losses, behavior. You owe him a deep, heartfelt apology. You're the a-hole. Unless this $111 is coming out of your wallet, I don't even see why you care. 18 is not even as old as you think it is, and barely on the cusp of adulthood/childhood. Just let people enjoy things. Also, that's really cheap if you got the whole set, which is about 25 books, and if it includes the Merlin missions, 50 books. Adults would benefit from reading quite a few old and new children's books that are out there, not the a-hole. Posted by user Reflorated, titled, "Am I the a-hole for breaking the car suddenly to teach my sister-in-law a lesson?" That's my interpretation of the car crash. I, 23 female, was driving with my boyfriend 24 and his sister 21 when this incident happened. To clarify, I have taught my mother and brother and all my cousins how to drive, and I'm a really good driver. My boyfriend asked me to pick him and his sister up from their home and drop them somewhere else. Their dad had taken the car somewhere and they needed a ride. Places are opening up, so I was in the clear. I have no bad relations with his sister. Things are quite okay between us, but I suspect this will be an issue. Anyway, the moment she got in the car, she suddenly started getting extremely nitpicky. I live in India, and honestly, the streets are filled with idiots, so you have to be doubly careful while driving. And this girl was not helping. She kept trying to backseat drive and was giving very incorrect advice. Stuff like, speed up, they'll move out of the way. No, they won't, and I'll have to pay a fine for speeding and putting people's lives in danger. It's really hard to drive in a semi-crowded street, with someone literally trying to backseat drive. At one point, this huge bus came up behind, and she literally let out a scream and started hyperventilating. The bus wasn't doing anything. It was maintaining appropriate distance. There was no reason to cause such a massive panic. My boyfriend tried to get her to calm down, but it wasn't working at all. She just kept screaming. It was incredibly tense. I started feeling panicky, and at the nearest cut in the road, exit, as Americans call it, I turned and parked the car smoothly. The road ahead was nearly empty. Sister-in-law calmed down immediately, and my boyfriend started yelling at her for inappropriately behaving in the car and potentially causing serious accidents with her own stupid behavior. To be clear, sister-in-law has no existing issues with being in the car that my boyfriend knows. Boyfriend and she can both drive, so she knows to not do this crap. Anyway, she started sulking, and I guess I kind of lost it because she wasn't apologizing. So I started the car, but let go of the clutch too quickly, causing the car to lurch forward without actually moving. Boyfriend and I were wearing seatbelts, so nothing happened, but she lurched forward and hit her head on the back of my seat. The seats are padded. She immediately started yelling again, and I said, "This is for being a ... If you don't shut up immediately, I'll kick you out of my car. Behave yourself." I was mad then, but felt like an a-hole later. Boyfriend fully supports me, but I leave it to your judgment. Edit, the vote seems to be fairly split, with half of the people calling me not the a-hole, and the other half calling me an ass. In any case, I didn't feel good about what I did and sent her an apology. She accepted my apology and said she was sorry for causing such a panic. She claimed she was on substances. In any case, thank you for your input, folks. Good night. Alright, I didn't expect her to be on something when she was doing that, but it definitely makes sense. I thought that was just her anxiety, but it definitely could have been, cocaine or some weed or something with that anxiety coming in. You're like, oh crap, we're gonna die. We're all gonna die. The bus is gonna crash into us. Oh my god. I'm definitely on the side of the one driving. I think she's not the a-hole. I think she was just trying to do a good thing for these two, get them around town, get them to where they need to be going for free, and she's being backseat driven by an absolute lunatic. I don't blame her for the actions she took. I would do the same. I would just put on the brakes, be like, get your bloody seatbelt on, you frickin', get it back on. You're gonna break your neck if you don't. So OP, in my view, not the a-hole. I don't blame you, but it was good that you apologized. Not the a-hole. Her hysteria was faked. If she was genuinely worried for her safety, she'd have had a seatbelt on. She can actually kill you sitting behind you with no belt. Don't drive her again. I'm not going to. I told my boyfriend if he ever asks me to drive her again, I will seriously dump him. My dad is in his 70s. He has the policy of never starting the car until everyone has a seatbelt on. He has kicked people out of the car. One, my mum's elder brother, and a relative that was a priest. Safety first, not the a-hole. The best approach. People die without a seatbelt on. Your dad is brilliant. Don't put up with that crap. Ugh. I worked with this idiot back in the day who swore it was safer to not wear a seatbelt because his dad got in an accident one time, and when his car flipped, he just slid out and was totally unhurt. Stupidest crap I've ever heard. As opposed to what? Being shot through the windshield and thrown across the road? Jeez, what an absolute idiot. Seatbelts save lives. So many people die just because they're thrown from cars. They don't slide out. What the hell? Not the a-hole. Not wearing her seatbelt was a conscious choice she made because she seems quite honestly bratty and entitled. This is something I didn't include. We kept telling her to wear the seatbelt, but she wasn't. I was so mad. Like, I'm doing you a favor and you're acting so stupidly and putting people in danger. Not the a-hole. That's actually how we got our eldest son to wear his seatbelt. He was still a toddler and had just figured out how to unclasp the safety belt for his car seat. My husband would strap him in, start driving, son would release his seatbelt. Husband would stop the car, refasten son's safety belt, start driving again, and it would start from the beginning until at a point, my husband just slowed the car down, there were no other cars around at the moment, and hit the brakes hard. Little guy slipped out of his seat and into the back of the driver's seat. He only got a scare out of it, but never undid his seatbelt in a driving car again. Alright, and I think that's where we're going to leave today's episode, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed the content today. If you guys loved watching it as much as I loved making it, I would love for you to subscribe to the channel already if you haven't. Tell me what you thought of it down in the comments below, maybe like the video, who knows. I'd also like to take this time to thank my awesome Patreon and channel members. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably be homeless on the streets of Ireland, crying Irish dancing all over town. It would just be a mess. But no, for real, you guys are up on the screen now. Thank each and every one of you guys. And if you personally want to join the club yourself, there are links down in the description below. There's also the join button next to the subscribe button. Small monthly fee, but hey, it goes a long way to help me create more awesome content. Well, with that said, guys, I hope you do have a lovely day, night, sleep, evening, day at work, day at school, whatever you're up to. I hope you keep awesome today. You're looking amazing, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.